In the second practice case, I was the seller, and I believe that one of my strengths was explaining features and benefits. I believe I did a pretty thorough job with explaining them all to the buyer. Features are factual statements, whereas benefits are the added value. Some features I listed for the copiers was the power saving mode, which turned off the copiers after a period of inactivity. And then a confirmed benefit that went along with this was saving the company money by cutting energy costs down. And this statement seemed to really intrigue the buyer, I noticed by nonverbal cues and body language. Another strength that I had was my use of verbal support and voice characteristics. I believe that I use appropriate examples and anecdotes to keep the sales dialogue interesting and understandable to the buyer. I also made sure my body cues and proxemics were appropriate. Voice characteristics are the pitch and speed of speech, and proxemics is the personal distance people like to keep between themselves and others. I made sure to speak slowly and clearly and to add emphasis on key points, as well as I kept an appropriate distance between me and the buyer to ensure that she was not uncomfortable throughout the sales dialogue. One weakness that I noticed was not talking about the competitors' products. The buyer didn't ask me any questions, so I just didn't really think to talk about it. One thing that I think would have helped with this is if I would have had a written sales proposal, and then I would have been able to keep this conversation on track to discuss the competitors with her. A written sales proposal is a complete sales presentation on paper, which gives the seller a guide to kind of circle back throughout the interview. Because I didn't have this written sales proposal, I failed to give the buyer all of the information they needed about the competitors. Another weakness that I noticed was I did not properly demonstrate the product. I did talk about all the copier's features and benefits, but I didn't have a visual aid to show the buyer, which would have given them a better understanding of all of the products. Sales aids are used or the use of printed materials, electronic materials, and product demonstrations to engage and involve the buyer. And because I didn't have any of these, the buyer didn't really have the best impression of the product.